Yeah, and he's a blur in the open court. He's going to be one of the fastest players in the entire NBA.
Roderick Dion R.J. Hampton Jr., born February 7, 2001. Today's feature was once rated higher than two current NBA All-Stars LaMelo Ball and Tyrese Maxey. After another All-Star and Olympic gold medalist Anthony Edwards, he was considered the next best shooting guard and one of the top combo guards in the country, leaving high school a year earlier than he could have because he was considered that much more advanced. He cut his college basketball destination to 4 schools for different reasons, but he wouldn't attend any of them because an opportunity to turn pro right away in the National Basketball League, based in Australia for the New England Breakers, arose. Things were moving fast, but in the right direction for Hampton, who parlayed that into just 1 season with the team before he was again considered advanced past his peers and drafted into the NBA as a first-round pick. Selected in 2020 by the Milwaukee Bucks, who traded his rights to the Denver Nuggets, and just like that, R.J. Hampton had achieved his main goal of making it to the NBA and being a first-round pick, guaranteed to play in the league like he's always wanted. A dream come true. But since then, his on-court career hasn't been transitioning as smooth as hoped, being traded in his rookie year and/or waived every year since. Not to mention demoted to the G League and being affiliated with 3 different teams in less than 7 months in 2024. Making it back to the league full-time seems more and more distant the older he gets and the amount of teams that gave him away, but he still had a shot going into the 24-25 season to prove he can be valuable to the league. But then in October 2024, right before the NBA season and G League season tips off in less than a month, a video shows up on TMZ, TikTok, and other places of a woman that seems to be the mother of his child accusing him of some very unflattering things she says he's responsible for. All accusations at this point that any public male figure can be accused of, and instantly public opinion takes the female side, but at the very least is a look a business like the NBA shies away from being associated with. For a guy on the fringe of making it back to the league, his off-the-court baggage definitely factors into whether a team takes a chance on him or not. In billion-dollar business, perception is everything, and although he's innocent until accusations are proven, it's damaged perception of him and can possibly be damaging for the team he's affiliated with in the future. He was considered a potential star in the NBA coming into the league, but for these reasons, that may all be in jeopardy. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Jumpman300_ on IG for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. R.J. Hampton Jr. is a 6'4" shooting guard point guard from Dallas, Texas that became a star since his freshman year in high school for Little M High. He hit the court running as the team's best player, averaging 23.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 3.5 steals per game. He led his team to a state title and received all the honors a freshman would hope to at that point. His status improved as a sophomore, upping his averages to over 30 a game, the first of back-to-back seasons doing so. His junior year is where he showed he could be a future star in basketball with multiple 50-plus point games and picking up the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Texas over a guy like Tyrese Maxey. As a junior, it was a feat that hadn't been accomplished since 2013. A surefire McDonald's All-American his senior year, he decided to give that up and all possibilities, reclassifying to the 2019 class instead of 2020 in order to get an early start on his college future. A future that wouldn't happen after he decided to turn pro. Stunt number 1, moving too fast. It's hard to say a guy that became an NBA first-round pick moved too fast into that position because at the end of the day, his goal was to play in the NBA, and as a first-round selection, that all but guaranteed that barring something catastrophic happening. He accomplished the goal of getting there as soon as possible being an NBA player when most kids are still freshmen in college, but getting there should never be where the goal ends. When he got there, he was missing crucial pieces to his game and emotions, which we'll speak on later, being able to stay at that level. First off, RJ was considered a combo guard in high school, which really means that a player's skills don't lean one way or the other between point guard and shooting guard. Although it can be looked at as the player succeeds in both roles, so given the combo guard tag. But in this case, hindsight has shown that it was more of the former. RJ is one of those players that played so well and accomplished so much in high school that in itself carried him straight to the NBA. But he needed much more development as a point guard and shooting guard to be ready when he got there, and because he moved so fast through those development points, he wasn't well equipped by the time he touched an NBA court. Do I blame him for taking those opportunities? No, the future isn't promised, and who knows, things could have went great instead of the way they did. On the Nuggets, he was supposed to fit right into a well-oiled machine as a sharp-shooting, high-energy off-guard with athleticism, finding his way in a Malik Monk role for the team, protected by a great coach and 2 All-Stars, one a 3-time league MVP. But RJ hadn't developed as a shooting guard nor point guard as hoped, and was beat out by every shooting guard on the team, limiting his minutes to under 10 a game. He shot 27% from 3, in a skill he was supposed to be best at, and didn't do much of anything else at a level to earn opportunity on a stacked roster. But the evidence he'd have a year like this was seen in his 1 year in Australia, where he was the 9th best scorer on the team and shot 29% from 3. He was never a first-round caliber player, and it showed being traded after just 25 games with the Nuggets. Stunt number 2, development and emotions. In no matter what field, being fired, replaced, or demoted to a lower position all looks bad to your future employers. In the NBA, it gives the perception that other teams got to see you up close and personal and decided not to keep you around. If multiple teams don't want you, then why should I, is a team's mindset. It's the hill a guy traded or waived multiple times has to climb on his way back to proving there's a reason he got to where he did in the first place. Those reasons may be skewed in an overhyped amateur and early pro career where he was given much more credit than he deserved all along, and he didn't develop even after making it to the NBA. RJ Hampton was never going to play point guard in the NBA though, because he literally had no point guard skills. Could he handle the ball on the high school level against players that most will never play past high school? Yes, and he convinced a lot of people that it could translate, but as soon as he became pro in a much lesser league like the NBL, it quickly showed that not only was he not a point guard, but at the moment not a pretty good shooting guard either, as pretty much the 3rd string shooting guard, averaging 8.8 points per game and shooting under 30% from deep. Beyond that, he didn't provide much impact anywhere else on the floor, at only 6'4", regular wingspan, lack of physicality, and athleticism that was only useful in fast break wide open situations. After being traded from the Nuggets, he lasted 116 games with the Orlando Magic before being waived and signing with Detroit. They too waived him after just 21 games, signing a 2-way with Miami, and months later they waived him as well. He's been in the G League ever since, no team picking him up to begin the 24-25 NBA season. Stunt number 3, perception is everything. Allegations or not, you have to admit that the perception of RJ is not very high at the moment, and it's exactly what teams will think of him now that video has been released of he and what looks to be his child's mother having an argument that led to her accusing him of putting his hands on her, enough to leave bruises. She says in the video, "Those were because of you," and he says, quote, "Of course they are."
Who the f is gonna care about that?
But they came from your hands.
Of course they did.
Which seems like an admission of guilt, but I actually think he meant that sarcastically, as to say, of course you're going to say they are, as in he's not surprised. Multiple parts of the video look damaging to his perception, and once again, bad perception is all a business like the NBA needs to decide to disassociate themselves with you, especially when you're an on-the-fringe NBA guy who didn't work out for multiple teams. For them, why take on that baggage when there's RJ Hamptons in the draft every year, who are younger and may have a specific NBA skill. He's innocent of the allegations until proven guilty, but it looks bad enough to hurt whatever chances he did have. All in all, RJ is still just 23 years old and can play his way back even with the allegations. It's going to be difficult, especially after so many teams have let him go and his development seems to have peaked. Anything can happen, but for these reasons, his growth is being stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.